Hello and welcome to Clearview News. We are reaching you live from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. In the news, President Muhammadu Buhari and his security chiefs meet in Abuja amidst renewed killings in the northwestern parts of the country. Africa Network for Environment and Economic Justice sets up policy dialogue to proffer solutions that will add bite to Nigeria's anti-corruption war. And after 30 years in power, Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir resigns as the military roll out tanks following public protests in the capital, Khartoum. I am Nten Ekpan with details of these and other stories. President Muhammadu Buhari has given a marching order to the service chiefs to ruthlessly deal with the bandits responsible for the rising spate of killings in the north-central zone of the country. Buhari gave the order at a closed-door meeting with security chiefs at the presidential villa, Abuja. The president said it was imperative to address the issue in order to restore confidence in the people and ensure security of lives and property. Chief of Defense Staff General Gabriel Olonishaki and the Acting Inspector General of Police Mohammed Adamu, who briefed State House correspondents after the meeting, assured Nigerians that Kaduna-Abuja roads are now safe, adding that the police have arrested kidnappers with some fatally injured. The security meeting was to review the strategy adopted by the security agencies in confronting security issues in Zamfara State and the nation at large.
The President today is to review the strategy that we are adopting in confronting the security issues in Zamfara State especially, and other places nationwide. And this review strategy is to address all the issues including kidnapping, banditry and other associated issues confronting the nation. And we are coming up with a revised strategy to handle those challenges.
What did you tell you specifically? Are there new marching orders from the President?
Yeah, the marching order is for us to deal with this issue immediately and ruthlessly and ensure that all those bandits are immediately dealt with, and all those issues that are bordering with our security are properly addressed.
Thank you. Is there anything you want to add to that?
No, but the chief has spoken, but I want to assure Nigerians that Kaduna-Abuja road is now safe. We have cleared the road. We've arrested a lot of the kidnappers, and in confrontation with some of them, some were fatally injured. So the road is cleared. Our patrol teams, the combined security services that are patrolling the road are there constantly 24 hours. Thank you.
Nigeria's Inspector General of Police Mohammed Adamu has called on police officers to develop and modify crime management strategies. He strongly believes that the only way to stay ahead of criminals is to continually generate actionable criminal intelligence. Addressing a strategic meeting of police managers at the force headquarters Abuja, the police chief assured all Nigerians of their safety. Clearview TV's Prudence Okuna was there and on reports.
The increasing cases of banditry and kidnappings amongst other crimes in the Northwest has taken a new dimension requiring urgent attention. The Nigeria police are therefore stepping up their internal security framework with focus on the prevention and detection of crime and maintenance of order. While highlighting the current security realities in the country, the Inspector General of Police Mohammed Adamu challenged officers of the force to evolve new approaches to crime management.
The dynamics of crime should tax you to evolve new thoughts and new approaches to crime management. Your ability to do this, what defines you? Your ability to do this is what defines you as a professional and an experienced police manager. You must therefore return to your commands to evaluate and coordinate actions directed at overhauling your current crime control structure and strategies, being conscious that the current security challenges represent a test on your leadership ability. You must learn to cram mafia jurisdictions and harness the strength within to neutralize all forms of crimes and security threats. The only way we can stay ahead of criminals is to continually generate actionable criminal intelligence to support our anti-crime functions.
The IGP urged officers to fully engage the two policing policies which are aimed at cultivating citizens' partnership and confidence. On the activities of Operation Puff Adder launched on April 5th, Adamu said it has recorded some successes.
Reviewing your current strategies, you must fully engage the two core policing policy of the current police dispensation, which are built on community policing and intelligence-led policing values. Operation Puff Adder was conceptualized and launched on the 5th April 2019 to address in the shortest possible time the threat of kidnapping, armed robbery, banditry in Kogi, Niger, Zamfara, Kaduna, and Katsina states, as well as the FCT. It is gladdening to note that this initiative has recorded remarkable achievement.
The police boss also reassured citizens of their safety wherever they may be without any form of excuses. Prudence Okonna reporting for Clearview Television.
The United Nations Humanitarian Coordinator in Nigeria, Edward Callon, has called on the Nigerian government to protect and provide humanitarian assistance to the nearly 10,000 men, women and children who were forced to relocate from Jakana community to Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, which is 40 kilometers away. Callon lamented that the entire town of Jakana was emptied and people were forced to move to Maiduguri with very little time to collect personal belongings, adding that some people said they arrived Maiduguri with nothing, not even with shoes on their feet. He urged the government to urgently provide safety, shelter, food, water and medical care to the displaced civilians, in addition to information about when they will be allowed to return home. The United Nations and its humanitarian partners called on the government of Nigeria to take all possible practical measures to ensure the protection of civilians and full respect of the rights of individuals in accordance with its obligations under international humanitarian law and international human rights law, as well as the guiding principles on internal displacement. The United Nations also reaffirmed its commitment to support national and local efforts to ensure that civilians affected by the conflict in Borno, Adamawa and Yobe states can access the humanitarian assistance and protection services they require. The military had based the relocation of the civilians on April 8, 2019 on security reasons ahead of planned operations in the area. No fewer than 60 Nigerian Army personnel have received special training courses in Pakistan. Speaking at the second round of Nigeria-Pakistan staff talk held at the Defense Headquarters, Abuja, the Director General Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria, Major General B.O. Ogunkale, expressed satisfaction with the training received by the personnel. He also said that under the bilateral agreement, the Nigerian Air Force has also sent troops to Special Forces training as well as procured Super Moshak trainer aircraft. Clearview TV's Prudence Okonna again completes the story.
Nigeria and Pakistan signed a bilateral agreement on military training in 2010. The agreement emphasized on military training and education, sending observers for military maneuver and exercises. Under the present administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, Nigeria and Pakistan, being members of the 8 developing nations, have therefore engaged in the exchange of top military political visits, including their defense ministers as well as high-ranking military officials, to enhance defense collaboration. This, however, led to the first round of Nigeria-Pakistan staff talk, which centered on counter-terrorism cooperation, peacekeeping, amongst others. For the second round of Nigeria-Pakistan staff talk, Director General Defense Industries Corporation, Major General B.O. Ogunkale, says that it is centered on counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency. He added that about 60 Nigerian Army personnel received training during 2017-2018 training season from Pakistan.
The Nigerian Armed Forces, particularly the Nigerian Army, has subscribed to training slots on anti-terrorism training and, of course, the Special Forces training in Pakistan. A total of 60 Army personnel have so far been trained. The Nigerian Army has subscribed to selected Army courses for the 2017-2018 training sessions from Pakistani government on gratis, and subscriptions to select Army courses for 2018 to 2019 training sessions on payment basis. The Nigerian Air Force has sent troops for Special Forces training and have equally procured some Super Mushak training aircrafts, amongst others, as part of decisions reached at the SAT talk.
Leading the Pakistan team, Mohammed Shakif say they have developed a wide-ranging defense cooperation with the Nigerian Armed Forces, adding that he is hopeful that the bilateral relations will reach new heights.
Fraternal bilateral relations and defense cooperation between Pakistan and Nigeria is spread over many decades. Actually, it was established immediately after the independence of Nigeria in 1960. Based on this, it can be proudly claimed that over the years, a very solid and unparalleled brotherly relations have been established between the two countries. It has also brought the armed forces of both countries in close cooperation with profound respect and understanding for each other. It is heartening to note that we have developed wide-ranging defense cooperation with armed forces of Nigeria, which is focusing on training courses, joint exercises, intelligence, counter-terrorism, defense industrial collaboration, and high-level reciprocal exchange.
It's expected that the second round of talk would assist Nigeria develop new strategies aimed at maintaining peace in the troubled northeast region. Prudence Okonna reporting for Clearview Television.
The Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Buharis, has played host to a delegation from the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, as well as the Japanese ambassador to Nigeria. As Clearview TV's Rose Auduna reports, both visits discussed areas of collaboration that could be explored to promote rapid growth of the Nigerian economy, especially in the area of science and technology. The report.
The Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Buharis, during the visit called on the private sector to invest in every business that would improve the nation's economy. According to him, it is the responsibility of local investors to create an enviable business environment for foreign investors to come and invest in the local business and thereby stabilize the naira.
We are moving our economy away from depending entirely on commodities to start depending on knowledge that is innovation driven. It's already yielding so many results, and we believe that in the years ahead the full impact will be more visible for more people to see and appreciate. I would like to use this opportunity to call on the organized private sector to come in and invest in projects, many projects that will help us in building new businesses.
Speaking earlier, the chairman, Specialized Committee of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce, Leye Kukboluyi, said he and his delegation had come to solicit the support of the ministry for the expansion of the Nigerian business environment. Kukboluyi, who also presented the minister with the industry's marketing technique book for the year 2019, said the private sector is committed to growing the nation's economy, but called for greater support if this must be achieved.
ICT generally has to be inclusive before it can be successful. It's not a class issue. It's not about the people without people that are rich. It has to be a way of life. We have to reach every nook and cranny of the country. Having said that, the ministry have been supportive. And we think this time around is not just about endorsement, but it's about collaboration. We are here to pattern a new proposal to collaborate with the ministry so that the mandate of the ministry, which is to up the standard of living of Nigeria, to create more jobs, to create more wealth, and to create better our standard of living, which can be fashioned around ICT.
Also this Thursday, the Japanese ambassador to Nigeria, Yutaka Kikuta, was at the Ministry of Science and Technology to seek collaboration on the promotion and advancement of science and technology development in the two countries.
First of all, congratulate the re-election of the President Buharis and turning into the second term of the presidency, and Japan is determined to continue to support whatever the second term of the Buhari government, including your honorable minister, to support and whatever cooperation with them.
Responding to the Japanese ambassador's request, Dr. Onu said Nigeria has had good relationship with Japan and prayed God to continue to strengthen the bond between the two countries.
Nigeria has decided to now move away, move our economy away from being dependent on commodities. We now want to move our economy away from being merely dependent on commodities or resources to be a knowledge-based, innovation-driven economy.
The minister further assured that the Ministry of Science and Technology would continue to work to ensure that the nation's economy achieves growth in every ramification, especially in the area of science and technology development. Rose Audu, reporting for Clearview Television.
African Network for Environment and Economic Justice says the challenge with fighting corruption and money laundering in Nigeria is the reason for the widespread poverty and the stalled growth and development of the country since its independence in 1960. Addressing the media in Abuja on the need to support the present administration's agenda in the fight against corruption, the group's executive director, David Ugolo, says the policy dialogue is aimed at reviewing the major challenges and obstacles to Nigeria's anti-graft effort with a view to recommending solutions. Clearview TV's Anita Patrick now reports.
Despite the successes record in the last 4 years, Nigeria has not fared better in the Corruption Perception Index released annually by Transparency International. Ugolo blames this on the failure to pass into law a number of legislations intended to strengthen the fight against corruption, particularly the all-important Proceed of Crime Bill.
The relationship between corruption, underdevelopment, and poverty is well documented by diverse authors. The just concluded 2019 general elections, which saw the re-election of President Muhammadu Buhari for another 4-year term, comes with a lot of implications and expectations. The implication is that opportunity has been created to assess the performance of the current administration in its avowed war against corruption, which has been a cardinal priority of the Buhari presidency. The opportunity of the policy dialogue will also be used to review the challenges and setbacks associated with the war on graft and propose an agenda for the next 4 years to consolidate on the fight against corruption in Nigeria.
With the focus of the policy dialogue on taking the war against corruption to the next level, the group believes the policy dialogue is expected to set up an anti-corruption agenda for President Muhammadu Buhari to seriously consider for implementation during his second term in office.
review major challenges, obstacles to Nigeria's anti-graft efforts and propose solutions, to set an anti-corruption agenda for the second term of President Muhammadu Buhari. The policy dialogue is expected to come up with an outcome statement as been enunciated by my colleague, which of course we intend to pass on to the presidency, the clerk of the National Assembly, as well as friends of Nigeria.
According to Transparency International, corruption index in Nigeria averaged 20.76 points from 1996 until 2018, reaching an all-time high of 28 points in 2016 and a record low of 6.90 points in 1996. The current initiative by African Network for Environment and Economic Justice is aimed at supporting the federal government to consolidate its efforts in the fight against corruption. Anita Patrick, reporting for Clearview Television.
You're still watching Clearview Television News. We'll be right back after this time out. Don't go away.
This is Ibrahim calling from Niger State, Medical Power.
Oh, this is Anita from Benin.
My name is John, calling from Niger.
My name is Ahmed, I'm calling from Kogi State.
This is Clearview TV, and this is our spread through free-to-air via Niconsat and online.
Yes, this is Diffus calling you from Adamawa State.
Adamala Ahmad Ibrahim.
Mala Ahmad Ibrahim de Gochaja kenan.
Daga Yudi.
I'm calling from Benue. My name is Chukwemeka. I'm calling from Niger State.
You can imagine how far your advertisements, social announcements, official notices, and jingles will go if you patronize us. It's time to take your messages far at the cheapest rate.
The federal government has restated its determination to put an end to inequality, saying it is hindering the progress and well-being of albinos in the country. Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Education, Sonny Echono, stated this in Abuja while inaugurating a technical committee that will participate actively in the reviewing of the national policy on albinism. Clearview TV's Uju Onyemechalo now reports.
The committee, which comprises of 14 technical members, is charged with the responsibility of facilitating the allocation of resources to persons living with albinism, empowering them and ensuring effective inclusion and participation in matters relating to education, health, and lots more. Inaugurating the committee, the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Education, Sonny Echono, says the review of the policy is necessary as it would aid in the curtailing the emerging issues and challenges confronting the albinism community in Nigeria.
The review of this policy will facilitate and improve lives of persons with albinism through access to social services such as education, healthcare, employment, and reduce stigmatization and discrimination. It will also support our policy of inclusion of persons with albinism into the socio-economic, political, and cultural development of the country. Reviewing the policy will equally facilitate adequate planning and allocation of resources to albinism issues in Nigeria, to empower such persons, the various organizations in the sector, and the decision makers on issues of albinism and the development of effective inclusion and participation. It will also achieve an increase in access to appropriate health and education information, knowledge, learning materials, and facilities to address the basic health and educational needs of people living with albinism, especially the children.
The founder and chief executive officer of the Albino Foundation, Jake Epele, appreciated the ministry for its efforts in ensuring inclusivity of persons with albinism in line with the regional action plan recently passed by the African Union.
The beautiful thing and the information is that just last week, the African Union passed the document on albinism called the Regional Action Plan for persons with albinism, and a special envoy has been appointed by African Union. And one of the mandates of that exercise was for the document to be domesticated by member states. By this exercise, Permanent Secretary, Nigeria may find herself as one of the first countries to domesticate the Regional Action Plan by the African Union. That said, I would want to thank you for the wonderful open door policy that you have and your staff. You have opened up the space for us to come and work with the ministry.
The national policy on albinism is intended to improve the status of persons with disability by harnessing their full potential and guaranteeing equal access to education, social, health, economic, and political opportunities. Uju Onyemechalo reporting for Clearview Television.
We now take a break to bring you the news commentary, which is on the need for policymakers in the education sector to come up with a legalized age limit for admission into Nigerian universities in order to avoid falsification of age by would-be students.
Not long ago, the authorities of the University of Lagos, UNILAG, denied admission to 15-year-old Okoroheye Orisheneye David on the basis of age, despite his exceptional performance in the West African Senior School Certificate Examination (WASC) and the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination (UTME). The teenage boy, whose choice of study is medicine, was the best student in the 2018 WAEC examinations. He had 9 A's in the WASC and scored 332 marks in the 2018 UTME to qualify him for his choice of course, and UNILAG, which he enthusiastically describes as one of the best in Nigeria. However, the euphoria of being admitted to study medicine in UNILAG in the 2018-2019 academic session is short-lived, as he has not met one of the admission requirements of the institution, which is a minimum age of 16. The criterion states that a candidate must have reached the age of 16 by the 31st day of October in the year of admission, and that was 2018. Master David was 16 in 2019, and as such will not be admitted in the 2018-2019 academic session in spite of his meeting the other 4 requirements. These include admission into full-time undergraduate programs only through UTME and direct entry. Candidates must obtain the minimum of 200 points in UTME, and candidates' details must have been forwarded to the University of Lagos by the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB. Candidates must possess 5 credits in O-level or its equivalent as required by the Department of Interest. Candidates must sit for the university post-UTME screening and must obtain the required minimum score. Like past deprivations in admission in the school system owing to age limit, this action of UNILAG has generated squabbles in the educational sector and indeed in the larger society, with a call on the federal government to adopt a minimum age benchmark for would-be admission seekers into institutions of higher learning in Nigeria. Before the current controversy, there were several attempts by the government and other critical stakeholders to fix a minimum age limit for admission into tertiary institutions. The government in the early 2000s tinkered with the idea of pegging admission age at 18 years and reintroducing the Higher School Certificate HSC in the school system. But the idea didn't fly. It was defeated by a section of Nigerians on the premise that every child should be allowed the space to express their ingenuity. Besides, in recent times, many universities specifically maintained that no person under the age of 16 will be admitted to the universities as a student. But many children, as young as 14 and 15 years old, abetted by their parents, beat the rules and apply for admission into the universities because the orchestrated 16-year minimum age for admission is more or less the norm. It has no legal backing. Notwithstanding, Nigerians are basically divided on which direction the country should go as regards the minimum age limit for admission into the country's universities, citing the fact that admitting students below the age of 18 has its merits and demerits. Some stakeholders argue that students in other climes, such as America and Europe, could enter the university at any time they meet the requisite academic qualifications to enroll. Further argument in favor of a free age range being canvassed in some quarters is that globalization, as a result of innovative learning devices such as the internet, computer, among others, has made students march in acquiring knowledge and learning. Yet, others counter the agitation for underage admission, pointing to low intelligent quotient IQ in children under 18 years that inhibits their ability to cope with the requirements of the society which the university represents as a smaller unit. Whatever the position being scrutinized on the matter, we should be mindful of the reality that maturity plays a critical role in the education and development of a child, given the stress and psychological instability of multitasking that underage students have to face in higher institutions. Even so, we are aware that there is no minimum age limit placed on students' admission into private universities. Then, why should public universities without any visible policy on ground hold children down under the guise of age limits? That's why we call for a waiver for exceptionally brilliant children like 15-year-old Okurogeye Orisheneye David, who made 9 A's in WASC and scored 332 marks in the UTME. In the absence of any policy to the contrary, they should be admitted to pursue their courses of study in the universities. Otherwise, it will be a denial of a golden opportunity for such young persons. While we are against any move or policy that will prevent otherwise bright and brilliant children from getting admission into the universities, the government should revisit the reintroduction of HSC as a stopgap into the school system. This will enable fresh graduates of high schools to spend 2 years post-secondary education before securing admission into the universities. And in the final analysis, it behoves on the government to genuinely come up with a framework that will provide the necessary guidelines and direction for the system, especially as they concern the age at which a child should be allowed to enter the university. This will discourage possible forgery and falsification of age to get admitted into higher institutions in Nigeria.
And just before we go, let's take a look at the stories that made headlines. President Muhammadu Buhari and his security chiefs rose from an emergency meeting in Abuja this Thursday with a renewed commitment to deal decisively with the rising spate of killings, banditry and kidnappings in the northwestern parts of the country. A civil society group, Africa Network for Environment and Economic Justice, has set up a policy dialogue to provide solutions that will add bite to Nigeria's anti-corruption war. And we also told you that the army in Sudan have taken over power with a pledge to relinquish office after 2 years as President Omar al-Bashir bowed to public pressure and resigned with immediate effect after 30 years in office. And that's the news. Remember that you can subscribe to our YouTube channel via Clearview TV, like us on Facebook via Clearview TV Online, follow us on Twitter at Clearview Online, Instagram at Clearview TV_NG, and you can watch Clearview TV on Natcom site with any free-to-air decoder. For details, contact your local installer. I am 10 Ekpang. Thanks for watching and good night.